recording on this computer. All right. So before we jump into JavaScript and interacting with the DOM, we'll get into what the DOM is. We're going to talk about something called wireframing or boxing, or I've heard multiple people talk about it. Has anybody heard of wireframing before? George, what's wireframing?
Pretty much the layout of the application you want to build, like in simplest form.
So it's pretty much a layout of the application in the simplest form.
Well, maybe not simple.
Is that like architecturally? What's it? Say that?
It's pretty much just the layout of each page. Like
so it's like the layout of each page of what the visual representation, right, and it's the most basic, simplest form. So it's kind of like, all right, well, there's all these HTML elements, tags called like HTML tags list. So we have all these HTML tags that we can possibly use, but like, how do we know what to use and where they actually go? This is kind of how wireframing can sort out and plan on what elements go where and how many divs you to use, or how many spans, or whether it should be a button or a link, or it should be a table. Wireframing is how you do that. So, for example, if you want to, here's a template, a material UI template. If I wanted to actually wireframe this out to help me determine where the different HTML tags go, this is what wireframing does. And you can literally do it on a piece of paper. Like this is like what a wireframe of this website would be. So if you're remote, I like to use like Google Slides or PowerPoint, because it's relatively easy. So if I wanted to make this, if I want to wireframe this web page out using Google Slides, let's go ahead and do that now, just because it's good to get used to planning things out before you actually type a line of code or a line of HTML. So let's do boxes. Should we do a text box just because? So in here, we have a header, a nav bar. So this entire nav bar would be an element. This entire thing. So I can literally, and it could be as dirty as you want. Like, all right, there we go. And let's do a nav tag right there. And that's border, where are borders at? Border color, just do black. And within here, just copy paste, we'll have like a logo, which will be just like a picture. What is a picture? Be like, let's do an image tag. Come on. Image tag. Right there. And you don't even actually need to name anything right now, but you can nav, just something to help you. And then over here, we have a list of links and a button. Okay. So this entire thing is another div, like another HTML tag. Whoop. I'm just going to copy this. This is probably just like a div, or it could be a nav or anything. And then within here, there's 1, 2, 3 links followed by a button. So I can 3. I'm just doing this to this is probably a link or whatever, a link. Probably didn't need to do those. 3. Followed by a button, baton. So that's what that top part would be. And in here, we have these 2 elements 1, 2, but this entire thing is probably surrounded by another tag because these both are like centered. So, whoop. It's probably the size of this entire part. Let's just call this one a section. There is a section tag. And then in here, it's probably an H1 tag or some H1. Probably by P, paragraph. These are the same width. No, it's probably all like that. Then in here, this is where it gets interesting. You're like, oh crap, like I don't even know where to begin here. So I'm guessing there's a big one right here, and then another big like this is a separate one. These are probably all individual elements, followed by a button. So I'm just gonna build out that as well. Let's do another section probably. And then copy that down. This is not going to be an H1. It's probably maybe a div. And followed by one up here. Arrange that to, there's probably another one here. I don't even know what this would be. Probably another paragraph. And followed by 1, 2, 3, 4. What's going on? It's getting ugly. Just going to delete that right now. We don't necessarily need the tag name. We just want to see where like the actual boxes are. Or it doesn't have to be to scale at all. It just kind of helps you. That's ugly. Then I'm going to expand this because there's a button probably down here. Oh, what? Try to make this a little bit smaller just so I know so I'm not confused. That. What did it look like before? Oh. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's actually should be 5 there instead of 3. You can just like something like that, and oh. Copy it. It's really dirty right now, but you'd want to paste this twice. Oh man. This one's like a little bit different, so you'd probably have to target this one. I see it here. This says most popular, and it has a star here. So this would have to probably have another div within here, and like a star, like an image. So you'd have to figure out how that works. So this is what wireframing is. And you're going to be going through this. Oh yes, Pablo.
A lot of times when I code, I go to Stack Overflow and just copy their code. is it good practice to go to good-looking websites and copy their CSS?
No. Yeah, because it's never going to be one-to-one. Like, you'll never be able to, because they'll either have different properties, they'll have installs, different libraries that make that CSS operate in a different way that you might not know that are installed. I never, ever copy over CSS unless there's something like very specific and it's from like W3 schools or something like that. Or I'll take it as a framework, as like a reference, I'll copy that and then I'll manipulate it. Yeah. And when you get into using libraries like Bootstrap and Material UI, the less vanilla CSS you'll be writing. So you'll rarely ever, like when you're doing your personal projects, I'd highly recommend try to mimicking a website because they've got professional front-end engineers and designers that actually make it look good. If you go into like straight up vanilla CSS, it's never going to look good. Like unless you are like a natural designer, you think your design's unique. It's not. It's probably not that great. A lot of people just like to experience using different CSS properties because they can. Like the transition thing I kind of showed you where like the element was moved across the screen. Just kind of keep it as simple as possible. The simpler, the better. Yeah. So that's wireframing. Does anybody have any questions about wireframing? You can literally just get a piece of paper and start wireframing. And it's a good exercise to do because it actually starts to think. It's kind of like whiteboarding. Like you start writing, it's about like pseudocoding. It's essentially like pseudocoding your HTML. Because you're like, oh crap, there actually is a div around this big group of elements. So okay, I need one there. Versus you're like typing, you're creating your IDs, and you're like, oh crap, I need another parent element. So now I have to like rename all my IDs or your class name to from like a naming convention to like match what you're actually trying to, what that element is referencing. So that's one of your challenges today is you're going to get into groups and you're going to do wireframe a few websites. All right. Any questions so far? Free wireframing tools. Yeah, there's a bunch of interesting ones. Oh god, Mockflow. Yeah, there's a bunch. Yeah, there's like a lot of cool ones out there that make it easier. But if you're like collaborating, like in today's challenge, if you're collaborating remote to in-person or in-person to remote, Google Slides is pretty easy because you guys can all work on the same spreadsheet at once. All right, let's talk about JavaScript. So JavaScript is the language of the web, and that JavaScript is used to interact with web pages. So almost every website has JavaScript in it. So I'm looking at this rollpark.us, or even commercial parking for universities. All this, like right this, is probably JavaScript. There's something in here that's every, whatever, 1,000 milliseconds or 1,200 milliseconds, it's changing. I'm gonna close this. And as I come down, with the images showing up, the text slowly sliding up, there's JavaScript in this web page that's telling this where the user is, like in viewing in the viewport. Like it knows all this. It's like right there, like it knows right now the user is at a certain spot on the web page to trigger some JavaScript to make these animations flow forward. It's all JavaScript. Stripe has one. Stripe Enterprise is pretty intense. A lot of JavaScript here. Might take a little while to load unless it's changed. Like that's all JavaScript. As I move down, it knows to like span, move that across. When I select, North America, it triggers something. It like rotates the globe. If I do like country, United States. All right, triggered something. Now everything's coming from the US. Right here.
So this is what our challenges should look
If you want it, if you want. If you can do that, I mean, that'd be amazing. Yeah. Like my personal website has JavaScript just because I wanted to. So this like little snap in the viewport, it's gonna snap like it's the nav bar snaps at the top of the screen. That's JavaScript. Probably even look at it. So under elements, sources, I probably can't. Style, index, here's the JavaScript that does that. Get element by ID, header, at index 0, add an event listener, scroll function, gets that the Y coordinates of like where I'm actually scrolling. I change an actual class name to active, and like add like active, it snaps to the top of the screen, and then when I get to another portion, it removes it. I'm sorry? Yeah. You can actually inspect and see that JavaScript. So let's create a couple of files. Index.html, we're going to create an HTML file, open, I'm sorry, code, index. So I'm going to create HTML, I'm going to just use the boilerplate, bam. Gives us a lot of stuff that we don't necessarily need. You have the stock type, which is normal. Class, no, I don't know what this is. Node.js, so these are like specific if operating on IE7, HTML class name, Node.js. I'm just gonna delete this. All right, let's just keep it here. In our head, we have some metadata, UTF-8, HTTPQ equivalent, XU compatible, IE Edge. We have a title, practice, meta description, content, I don't know, whatever, viewport. This is the kind of standard stuff. Then we have this link tag in our head where we can actually reference external style sheets. So in our make a circle, we were doing everything within style tag. And we were doing all our CSS in here. Writing our CSS in here. But in a real life application, we'll want to have a separate CSS file where we'll actually be writing the CSS information. And that's where we want to link it here. So before we do that, and then down here we have this script tag within the body. This is where we want to load all our external JavaScript files. So we have a source, and then we have this async defer. Async defer just essentially means load everything on the web page on the DOM, like load the DOM first, document object model, which we'll get into first, and then load any external JavaScript files. So I'm going to clear this. Let's create a style sheet first. So let's touch styles.css. The .css indicates that it's a style, cascading styles sheet. So I'm going to code, or I'm going to open, yeah, code, styles, CSS. There's my styles. And in this challenge, I just want to create a button that alerts the user that says like, hello, Kilo Platoon, something like that. So in the body, so first let's actually create a button first. In our, I'm gonna open my index.html. Ah, damn it, it's still doing that stupid thing. Why, monkey? Come on. Where is it not doing it? Yeah, I'm gonna do it from the Finder again. Desktop. Platoon challenges. Okay. So here's that index HTML JS practice. So I'm currently located. So I want to create a button that says alert me or press me or something. So if I wanted to create a button, what tag should I use? Button tag. All right, alert. There's the basic HTML alert me. But I'm clicking it, nothing's happening. So let's style this tag a little bit. So I've got button. I'm gonna give it an ID. So I'm not gonna create any more button, or I'm just gonna give it an ID because I want this button to be unique to this page. Alert. Describe it kind of what it is. This is going to be an alert button. And in my styles, so I want to do hashtag because it's an ID, alert button. And I'm going to do width 20%. So the 20% means it's the 20% of the width of the entire screen. We'll get into what that looks like. So I'm refreshing it, but nothing's happening. Why not? So I didn't. So I haven't actually linked to this yet. So I actually have to kind of like import it. So styles, CSS, it already kind of knows. So link, relation style sheet, href, what it's actually referencing, that file. So there, that's 20% of that entire viewport. So I want it to be height, 200 pixels, background color, let's do RGB, let's do blue, and then instead of blue, is that a light blue? And I'll see what that looks like. Ugh. All right. Let's see. I'm just gonna change it. See what it looks like. It's a little lighter. I don't like that blue outline. And I click on it. How to remove blue outline on buttons CSS. Remove blue border from CSS, custom styles, and Chrome Stack. Here's my CSS, yeah, whatever. So it says button, focus. Looks like this outline. 0. It's 0. See what that looks like. That works. I think you can also do none. But I can't really see the alert me, like that text. Doesn't really say, like it's hard to see. So I just want to change the color to white. There we go. But now also, usually when you hover over things, you kind of want it to show, like, tell the user, hey, you're hovering over me. So I want to do alert button hover state. Hover. And change the background color. Just a little bit. There we go. So now that's kind of like a button I can get used to. And if you wanted to apply this, like, you're able to apply multiple different tags to. So if I had like an alert button, but if there's other attributes or other classes or IDs that have the same alert button, but it's called something else, I can do like some other class. And it'll accept multiple. Oh, what's going on? You're able to add like another class. If I had something down here, like a div that says what's up, that also wanted that had like a class, some other class. So it's the same styling. If you're able to add multiple, that's just like a thing that you're also able to do. So right now, I just have this one button, but I want it to, on click, I want it to do something. I want it to alert the user that says like, hello, Kilo Platoon. That's where JavaScript comes in. So I need to create an app. I'm going to create an app.js file, touch.app.js, code.app.js. So I've got this app.js file, console log. So this is where you literally just write Kilo Platoon. So the thing about HTML and JavaScript is that I need to import my JavaScript file into my HTML file. And right when I refresh this, my JavaScript file runs. And I'm able to see that by coming to the Chrome DevTools. And in the console, I see hi Kilo Platoon. Every time you refresh it, it runs this file. But I want to click this button and execute. I want like an alert box to come up and say like, hello, Kilo Platoon, or something. Like you click me. So in the console, there's this thing called the DOM, a document object model. And everything on the screen is like the document, like that's the document object model. So if I literally type in document in the console, everything is an object. Bam, here's like an object. So that's when people refer to the DOM, this is what they mean. They mean like what's visible on the page, the DOM, the document object model. And it's literally just like a gigantic object. So I'm able to access anything on the screen, like any HTML element, by executing code in my JavaScript file. Like I can access like console log document. And now if I refresh this, see here's the document that's being console logged there. Now the document has a bunch of built-in methods that enables you to grab specific HTML elements, IDs, classes, just perform certain actions to the web page. So I can do document, so I press enter. Here are all these different built-in methods on the document, on the DOM. We can actually document dot, and here are all these things. Active selector, a pet, applets, I don't even know what half of this stuff is. Create, but there are a certain methods that you can use to interact with the DOM that we'll be using a lot. So document.get. So if you do document, I'm getting stuff. So get animation, get element by ID, get elements by class name, get elements by name, tag name, and in this case, I have this ID alert button. So get elements by ID. It says, all right, string that specifies the ID value, case sensitive. Well, what's the name of this ID that I want to grab? Alert button. All right. Now, there are certain things I can do with this alert button. Buttons, generate scroll, There's like a bunch of stuff. All right. I see this on seeking, on point, on pause, on mouse over, on, oh cool, there's a lot of interesting ones. On mouse over, on mouse leave, on loaded, on key press, on focus, on, what is it, on click. I got this on click method. So on click, let's see what this actually does. Document on click. Global event handlers, on click event. So on click, we'll add event listener, click, on click. So object, on click, and then some function in JavaScript. So get element by ID, we kind of, this is what we're doing right now, and some function. On click equals a function that we want to do. So let's enter HTML. Cool. Let's see how this works. If I click, okay, so it says on click demo. ID, click me. Let's run this again. This paragraph has an ID of demo with that HTML text saying click me. Here it says get element by ID demo on click equals function my function. And the function is called my function. Document get element by ID, grabs the demo, and it replaces the inner HTML to you click me. Cool. So you click me equals, I'm gonna actually copy this over as reference. Oh, that's not right. Copy that. Document get element by ID equals some function. And then here, what if I just wanted a console log? What's up? Why is it? Oh, so this I'm doing using a fat arrow function that just console logs what up when I get click element, get element by ID alert button on click, console logs that. So refresh and get rid of this document. What is that? Oh, it could refresh. What's up? Instead of console logging, I want to return an alert. It says you click. Refresh this page. What's up? You click me. Does anybody have any questions on how JavaScript interacts with the DOM? Interacts with web pages. So in here, you can even, oh, I'm off the cuff. What should I do? You can like, these are like create, how to create an element via the script. DOM HTML. Get element by ID. How to create an element JavaScript. DOM. Random keywords. All right, looks like there's a create an element. So var button. Oh, cool. All right, so this on click document.create element button. So creates an actual button element. Document.body append child button. So yeah, you can create elements on the screen. You can do a bunch of stuff. Anybody have any questions with regards to how to create elements or using JavaScript to interact with the DOM. You always want to use like document. That's how you actually grab stuff from the HTML document dot. Click get element by get animation, get the class name,